Only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We got a tournament 3-part video for you guys for Death Guard going 3-0 at the local RTT at Alter Universes, Bluebell, Pennsylvania. If you guys are around that area, they do a month tournament every single month, once a month, and they're actually going to a new store, which is going to be bigger. So super excited news for that. But in this video, we're going to go over picture by picture, turn by turn with our 3 opponents that we had in that, again, 3-part video. First one's going to be Chaos Space Marines versus Death Guard, then Death Guard versus Demons, and then Death Guard versus Space Wolves on our 3rd video. So we're going to be going over kind of the same recap of this. Let's go over the list so that way we have that for every single video, and then we'll go over in the picture by picture. If you guys new to the channel, we did get ranked #1 player on ITC in the United States last season, so that was a huge year. We were #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world, which was just such a huge accomplishment for the channel. I wouldn't have done it without my Patreon, so if you guys want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com. And we got new merch, so these are the new shirts. They have Space Marines, Death Guard, Chaos Space Marines, a whole bunch of different armies, but they are legit. They're super comfortable, and I wear them all the time. I think I bought like 5 of them myself. But yeah, those are in the merch store down below, so make sure you guys check that out. Let's go over to the list, and then we'll get over to each specific video that you guys are watching. But yeah, thanks for clicking on the video. Let's get into it. All right, so here's the list. We wanted to run the Plague Company. We haven't run that in a while. I think this year is going to be the Death Guard year for us. I'm not sure if we're going to be going for #1 in the world, but we're going to be having some fun playing the new Death Guard Codex coming out very soon. We already kind of know some tidbits about it, so I can't really say anything on YouTube about it. Hopefully I get some Games Workshop sponsors soon. But this is the list. We are running the Bile Spookykabuki. I definitely like this guy still in every single list. He has the free grenade, and he lets your unit crit on 5s. So with the amount of weapons that a Plague Marine unit can bring, this guy is legit great, and even a 5-man unit. So I like him. I had an extra 50 points, so I can either bring like Tallyman or 10-man of Poxwalkers or 10-man Cultists, and I think this guy fit in the list very, very well. We have our Death Guard Sorcerer in Terminator armor. He's going to be doing the -1 damage for our Plague, for our other Terminator unit. So him in that unit is just so hard to kill. And the once per game Kamehameha, I say it every single time I do it. But the 2d6, 24-inch range, strength 8, AP2, 3 damage is just nuts sometimes. Sometimes you roll double 1, sometimes you roll 10. Like it is so random, but fun. And then we have the Lord of Contagion. This guy is just such a cool model, and the 4 rerolls to hit in combat with lethals on your Death Shroud is killer. Can kill tanks most of the time. And we gave him the Deadly Pathogen, which I remembered most of the time, and then sometimes I had to remember, wait, if I'm controlling objective on one of my Contagion objectives, I get an additional +1 attack, +1 strength, which forgot about the extra strength, but the extra attack definitely came in handy. Mortarion, so cool. I just painted mine, which I'll show you the pictures in this report, but Mortarion still 300 points, one of the cheapest Primarch out there. He ignores all modifiers, which came in a lot at this RTT. And then Typhus, the solo champion. We were running him in a 20-man unit of Poxwalkers. I changed it to 10-man last minute because the 20-man always died turn 1. So, and I didn't want to give up Call the Horde. Actually, having him with Call the Horde being defensive is great, but I just didn't bring Call the Horde target, so that way I was able to kind of like survive a little bit longer. So I ran him solo all weekend or all day. 2 Plague Marine units. I like the Melt-A-Guns. They are kind of more aggressive playing them here. They're there for action monkeys. And then the one of them is with the Putrefier, so that way I get the free grenade strat when I need it. Plague Spear, and then the 2 heavy plague weapons with the plasma on the champion. Then a Rhino to transport them because they are very, very slow. 1 unit of Cultists for the Scout 6. I think that came in handy, especially trying to get turn 1 secondaries. And then the 3 Predator Destructors, one of the only ones in the game that can do heavy bolters, lethal, and sustain. Everybody kept asking, they have both? I'm like, yep. So, but all of them have the heavy bolters. I think it's just so good with Death Guard, with the autocannons, combi bolters, and the Havoc Launcher. So just a ton of shots coming out of the 3 Predators. Them staying near 6 inches of Morty when you need them to is key, especially for the reroll ones to wound. And then we got 2 units of Death Shroud Terminators. You can split up 2 3-man units, so 2 3-man units and a 6-man unit with the Sorcerer. I chose to go with the 2 10-mans or 2 6-mans just to have kind of really threat bubbles. Again, I probably should try the 2 3-mans and then 1 6-man. That probably gives a little bit more of like all over the board. But I rapided these guys with the Lord of Contagion every single game. And I started the other Death Shroud, I think, on the table every single game, because we were playing layout 1, which I'll show you. Then we have 2 blow drones, one of them with the Plague Splitter, one of them with the Flesh Mower, one having melee, one having flamer. You kind of use them wherever you need them, but they're speed 10, they can tank shock. They're just kind of really cheap, fast, hard-hitting dudes. So 90 points, can't beat it. And then 1 10-man Poxwalkers to block out the backfield. Most of the game, that's what I was missing. I had a 20-man unit of these, but they were with Typhus, so they were kind of running forward. So I needed something to stay in my backfield to block deep strikes. And then 1 unit Nurglings for the additional stack on -1 weapon skill, -1 to hit. So pretty cool list. I liked it a lot. Like, there's really nothing I would change. I already just went over what I would change, but this is definitely a very, very good competitive right now Death Guard list before the new codex comes out. So let's get into the first battle report. Depending on which video you guys are watching, we'll get into it after these sponsors. All right, guys, if you want to support the channel, head over to the merch store. The link is in the description below. We have our new sports themed Grey Knights, Chaos, and Space Marine logos on a bunch of different shirts. We just updated the shirt as well. These are probably the most popular. So if you guys want to rep these at the local GT, you can do that. Also sport the Dirtbag swag. So really appreciate it. Click on the link below. If you guys are interested in other merch, we do offer some 3D prints. We have Codia's, the Assassin, should be in every single list. The Space Marine Lieutenant, Space Marine Librarian, the Tech Marine for Grey Knights, and the Cypher should be in every single list. We have poker chips, which are great for sticky objectives. All of the stickers are manageable. These will be on t-shirts soon. We have widgets still, and we have about orange and orange. So we have orange Dirtbag dice. If you guys are interested in getting some dice thrown on the table, hit me up in Discord and we'll get back to the video. Oh, real quick, I just wanted to show off my Mortarion. So I tried the weather effect. We got the little bit of rust and some of the blue rust on top of that. I want to do that for all my Death Shroud and Death Guard, but this is like the base. I added some of the water effects from Vallejo, but it's all of the speed wash paints. But I really liked how he turned out. Those are the wings from the back, the little flame effects with the blue really stands out, and then this is the front. So this is what he looks like. I probably could change the face a little bit, make him a little bit more pale or sickly. But yeah, this is our Morty. So looked really cool. One of my first painted Death Guards at this age compared to when I was 16 painting them originally. So yeah, I just want to show that off. All right, guys, so here is the first game of the tournament. We are playing Chaos Space Marine Bile. I know this pretty well, so I was pretty confident going into it. It's really good if you know the opponent's army, but you don't have to. So you'll see in the other 2 videos where there's armies that I don't really know a lot of, so you can still win the game based off of strategy, core abilities, knowing your army like the back of your hand, and just playing the mission. So with this list, it's the Creations of Bile, a little bit different than what I actually run. So he was running a lot of stuff, like he doesn't run the main meta list, which is cool. We were talking about at the end of the game. He's got a unit of bikes. We have Havocs with the chain guns. We have a unit of 10 possessed, unit of 5 terminators with the sorcerer, rhino, nurglings, raptors, 2 more units of havocs with last cannons. We have a unit of chosen with a lord and a master of execution. We have Bile, who's the warlord, obviously, and I believe a legionnaire unit for some troops, and the nemesis claw. So I know they're all kind of mixed in between there, but it's basically, oh, and cultist unit, but it's basically just of like all infantry, havocs with a rhino and some bikes, which bikes don't benefit from the ability, but they're still pretty good units to have. And this is a really tough matchup because Death Guard ignore all of their modifiers. So anything that has -1 hit like they have, I just ignore it. So it was really tough for him to go into Death Guard, especially with, you know, what we have to play. And again, I know kind of what to look out for. And we have the -1 damage on a couple different units. So the Possessed with the, you know, 2 damage weapons, it's not the best. So wow, these guys look amazing from afar. This is the first time I'm running like a full painted Death Guard army, painted by myself. So I just, wow. Okay. So we did actually the bases as like liquid smudge as well. Sploosh, which is cool. So this is the mission. First mission is Purge the Foe, which we have a lot of experience with, especially with Chaos Cult. So we know what to look out for, what to focus on. And with Purge the Foe, you guys got to think, don't give up easy units. Like if you have Nurglings or Seekers or something that is kind of made to go out turn 1 to block your opponent, usually with Purge the Foe, you don't want to do that. Because if you're going first and you give up Purge the Foe by killing something, you get 4 points and you can stop your opponent from getting 4 points if you go second. So that's kind of a tidbit on Purge the Foes. You want to make sure that you're setting up to not give your opponent easy turn 1 Purge the Foe. So if you're going first, you're gonna want to keep your guys as behind ruins as possible, because if your opponent sets up well, you're not going to be able to get kill 1 on turn 1, and then if they do, they are already beating you by 4 points. So that's really good for a setup with this mission in Purge the Foe. But we're playing clock every single game, and I realized going from Chaos Cult running 200 models to this, we actually finished every game by an hour ahead of time. So it was actually a really cool thing to see, running a new army besides Chaos Cult at a tournament. So this, we have our Predators lined up all back here. They have the angles to either shoot down here or shoot up here, and I always set up one at the bottom, so in case he has to move up and kind of get a weird angle going this way, that's what this one down here is for. Then we have our Poxwalkers in the back defending the backfield. Morty is right behind these 2 things, so that way he can't be shot at, and he's basically going to run up here turn 1 to set up for a launch. Like I said, we put our Death Shroud on the table. They are super slow. Hopefully they get faster with the new book, who knows. And then they're going to basically run up here turn 1 to kind of set up for a staging. He doesn't have a lot of guns. I think he should have put some Havocs down here, so that way they can get that angle going this way, because if he put like 2 units of Havocs over here, he can just kind of like shoot down this row into anything that I bring out, because these guys definitely aren't going to make it into this triangle turn 1 because they're only speed 4. So if he put his guys down here, he would have been able to get like 10 shots of last cannons going into my Death Shroud, and just murder them, you know, turn 1 or turn 2. But he doesn't have anything down here, so that's why we set up these guys right here to run forward. So they're there. The cultists are going to scout in that little triangle as well. These guys are staying back a little bit cautiously, again, because of Purge the Foe. 1 unit of the Flesh Mower, the other one back here to block out the back corner. They're cheap enough to do that, and they're quick enough to get out and do something turn 2. Then we have this guy here with the 2 Plague Marine units. They're always within 12 of this objective, so that way they can move up and do a cleanse, or I can move up and then get out and do something else. So that's why this Rhino is always in range of that objective, so that way I can either hold it or try and make it sticky for turn 2. His setup, he's got, this is the thing that I was talking about. So if this guy's here and I get first, I can just move up and shoot the shit out of these guys to basically clear him off to get Purge the Foe turn 1, and then he doesn't have anything lined up to shoot my Predator for that. So if I went first and these Nurglings were back here, I wouldn't be able to get anything for turn 1 for Purge the Foe. But he actually put them there to stop Area of the Nile, which we happened to get turn 1, but he actually went first. So that's kind of why these guys are there. So I think if they're back here, he would have stopped that, but instead he went first and he kind of set up for all this. So him going first, this is his movement after turn 1. He moves these guys up here again to stop Area of the Nile. These guys scooch up. They want to kind of take out my dudes and then we have the Rhino scooting up. He did have turn 1 Sabotage and Assassinate. So for him, he moves up these guys, get out of the Rhino, the Havocs run into the Rhino, and the Nemesis Claw. So Nemesis Claw, Havocs run into the Rhino. He had a 10-man Legionnaire unit with the Lord right here. They got out. Lord stepped on the Ruin, and when the Lord stepped on the Ruin, he went to Sabotage. So with the Lord being on the Ruin, here's the little thing with Sabotage. With the Lords on the Ruin, you can't remove the Lord till last. If a Legionnaire is on the Ruin, the Legionnaire could just get removed, and then the unit still survived till next turn, so that that Sabotage actually goes off. That's in the wording. So if you have like a 10-man or even Cultist, right? So if Cultists are over here in the same spot, if they just tow one Cultist in there, and then they shoot my Cultist and all but one live, I still pass Sabotage because the unit lived, even though they're not on the Ruin anymore. So that's a little tidbit with Sabotage. But he had the Lord there, so we were able to basically put 2 Predators into that unit right there and just kind of like kill the entire unit and leave the Lord on 4 wounds there. So we actually got Purge the Foe turn 1 by killing the Legionnaires, not the Nurglings. And then Morty stayed back to keep these 2 guys within 6 inches, so that way he couldn't do his -1 to hit. So we ignored that. And then the other Predator stayed back because he does have a lot of last cannon, so he stayed back, kind of just waiting to see where he moves. And then again, like I said, these guys ran up like a total of, I think, 6 or 7 inches. This guy ran up the stage. The guys ran to the center to get Area of Denial. He did block me with his Nurgling, so I was only able to get a minimum Area of Denial, and then establish Locust. So we moved up, got Area of Denial, and I established Locust with the Cultist. So that way, they basically got me 4 points just by being there. Nurgling screwed up in the corner to do the same thing that he did. These guys, like I said, got on the point. He stayed back to do the corner, and then these guys spread out to block the backfield. But we're basically setting up for a turn 2, whatever. So Possessed stayed back. Everything else is still kind of hidden. So turn 2, like I said, the bikes moved up. They shot and charged and actually left all but 1 Cultist. So with the -2 to hit, because of the Nurglings and the Aura, we did choose -1 BS at weapon skill. With the -2 to hit, they were hitting on 5s. So it wasn't the best thing for the bikes. So they actually weren't able to get the Cultist. So we actually didn't get a kill on turn 2. He was only able to hold 1. So he actually held 1 for 4 points. But he had Area of Denial like I did, and then he had Engage on all fronts. So since that 1 Cultist actually lived within 3 inches of the center, he actually didn't even get Area of Denial. So that was a huge, crazy thing that we both did not expect. That's basically what this guy was doing right there. So they shot and then charged. Even though shooting, they were -1 BS as well, because they were within range 6 inches of the Cultist. And I'm not sure if I did the stealth on them or not. I don't think I did. But when they charged in, I think we countered the bikes as well. So I was able to get 2 or 3 dudes, the Death Guard, Death Shroud into the bike. So when the bikes charged, they ended right here. So they were within 6 inches here. So when I charged in, I was able to get 1 guy over here where this Cultist was, and the other guys were able to get around here on the other side of the ruin. So I was able to get 2 Death Shroud over here and then 1 Death Shroud over there. So I attacked the bikes with 3 Death Shroud, and I think we murdered the bikes on turn 2. So that gave us 1 kill already. So we just needed to kind of like not die on our turn, and then we got kill more. So we got hold 1 and kill more on turn 2. So we're already off to a good start with Purge the Foe. We moved up this guy in the center to get extend, and then we had assassinate. So all that we had to kill was, I believe the Lord was the option down here. Oh, and then the Terminators. So the Terminators came in rapid ingress. I think over here. Where are the Terminators? Yeah, so Terminators came down right here. Yep, so Terminators came down right here. When the Terminators came down, they actually made the charge into my guys that were behind this wall, because I rapided them there. So when the Terminators came down at this top of his turn, they came down right here. And when he charged me, he basically was able to get, I think, 3 or 4 guys on the other side of the wall. And he was able to get 2 guys on the other side of the wall in the charge. And then when he piled in, he was only able to get 2 more guys on the other side of the wall. So he attacked me with 4 Terminators on the other side of the wall. His last cannon dudes over here killed my 1 Predator right here. So that was a pretty easy kill for him with the last cannons. The Possessed finally came out. They're basically staging to get the charge off on these guys. These guys came up because he did bring down Raptors, which failed their charge. So they got out of the Rhino, moved up, shot, left 1 Raptor, charged the Raptors, piled back towards the objective to get back on the other side of this wall. So that's why it's always good to leave 1 guy near the objective, so that way when you charge in, you kill them, and then when you pile or consolidate back, you consolidate back towards the objective and then get on the other side of the wall so that they can't be shot. So let's get back to the Terminators. Terminators charge in. This is the Contagion unit. So I think I saved 2 CP for this unit, so that way it was -1 damage. So when they charge in, they're only damage 1, and they didn't really do a ton, because even with the full rerolls to hit, he did sustain. So he's hitting on 4s with full rerolls to hit and sustain. And then he's wounding me on 4s because it's Power Fist. So strength 8. So it's wounding on 3s and then -1 to wound. So wounding on 4s. So hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s, and then I have a 4-up save. So he doesn't, and then -1 damage. So he doesn't do a ton of damage to the 6-man Death Shroud with the Lord of Contagion. But again, I brought them down there to, I had Assassinate. Sorry, I didn't have Assassinate. Yeah, I didn't get Assassinate then. I had to go up and kill something else. But I brought them down to defend my backfield and to defend my other Predators from them. So when he deep struck them in, I rapid ingress to defend my backfield. And obviously for kill more, I want to kill them. So that's kind of why I rapided in the back, because they're super slow. So now they're basically there until he comes at me. So when I finished them off, I basically full reels to hit, lethal, strength 8, wounding on 2s because they go down to toughness 4. So that unit just fucking murders. Murdered the entire Terminator brick with 6 Death Shroud and the Lord of Contagion. It was brutal. It was not fun for the Terminators. So that was my clap back. And then he basically charges in, and this was me failing the charge on his Possessed. So when his Possessed moved up, that was after their advance roll. So they advanced up, they spent a CP, they can advance the charge. When they charge into this guy, so that way they can kind of pile in. So when they charged in, I wanted to countercharge because this is where he ended his guys. So since I was within 6 inches, I wanted to countercharge because that would have pushed me up the board a little bit. But I failed. So that's what the finger is for. Finger is me remembering that I failed to countercharge into his Possessed unit, which probably would have wiped out his Possessed. So moved up his Nurglings to give me the -1 to hit, which I don't ignore because I'm too far away from Morty because he's trying to be defensive until the Havocs are dead. Once the Havocs are dead, then he can come out and do something. Next picture. This is after the Possessed charged in, and then we did -1 damage from the Sorcerer. So the Possessed are at damage 1 now, and then we spent 2 CP for the Flesh Mower to be -1 damage as well. So we basically -1 damage for both units, and he did 2 CP to full rerolls to hit and wound against my Sorcerer unit. So he put, I think, 4 guys into my Flesh Mower, and then he put 6 Possessed into my other unit, which with the devs, he killed, he killed 4 guys. So he was able to kill 4 of my Death Shroud with that Possessed unit, with 6 of them, and left my Sorcerer and 2 Death Shroud left. So they were able to clap back. I killed a couple of them. The Flesh Mower killed a couple of them. There was 1, 2, 3 guys left. So 3 Possessed left. And then we basically start coming out to play now because he brought in his Havocs up at the top here to try and kill my Rhino because he had to bring it down. So he brought his Possessed, his Havocs, Last Cannon Havocs, and the Chain Cannon Havocs. So they came in up top here. They got line of sight onto my Rhino, but failed to kill it. I definitely stealthed it. So I did the -1 to hit on them. This guy moved up to try and keep the objective up here, and if I have to do cleanse or containment or something, that's why he moved up. But now the guys inside, they basically move up and they want to get a grenade and charge off on these two guys, which I murder the one last kind of Havocs, and then we tie up these other 3 Havocs in combat with here. He doesn't have a fall back and shoot strat, so they're probably dead. And then we still have a unit of Plague Marines in this Rhino up here that moved up. We're basically staging for our secondaries in case we need to do them. So with Death Guard being so slow, you want to make sure that you're moving forward, so that way in case you get behind enemy lines, containment or locusts, you can actually do that on the other side of the table instead of waiting for those secondaries. Now you're too far to do something. Other Predator moved up. Typhus came down here over here to try and go over here. So we have Assassinate, which I think we moved up and we killed that one Lord that was left over here. Yeah, so the Lord died over here from this guy. So he moved up, charged, fell back, charged, and killed the Lord. That's how we were able to get Assassinate. Morty moves up because all he has left to kill Morty is Nemesis Claw, Bile, which his chosen unit died to the Predator there, and then Predator there. And then we charge the Rhino, so that way we could just tie up the Rhino. So Predator on Rhino. Pretty funny. So all he's left is Master Execution and Bile. Then he's got a unit of Raptors back here with 2 Melta, but again, that's all he has left to go after Morty. That's why Morty is able then to come out and start doing stuff. These guys are finishing up the dudes in the center. But you can see we're staging pretty well. We have our backfield still blocked out. All of his guys are now in, so they could start moving up. We have 2 Predators left. We have Typhus solo down here. We have Morty moving up. The Death Shroud are kind of clearing off the center to make that sticky. And then we have our Plague Marines up top to start clearing out the rest of the Havocs and the Cultist back here. So going into this turn, we clear off the Havocs. We move on to the objective. These guys ran away because obviously they don't want to die. We have Purge the Foe, so we're keeping track of how many he's killing, so that way we can then just beat him by a little bit, because at this point, if we table him, we're going to lose out on Purge the Foe on turn 5. So you always got to think about that, because if you're going into turn 5 and there's nothing left to kill, you're going to lose out on 4 points, and then also you're going to lose out another 4 points because you didn't get kill more. So you got to think about it at a GT setting, because this is an RTT, so obviously you're going to have fun playing, opponents and teaching them, but you also want to think about practicing for the GT, because obviously you can table him at this point. Like, we still have 2 Predators, Typhus, Morty, bunch of Death Shroud, this Flesh Mower, and then those guys. So I could basically just send everything in, kill the Cultist, Morty move up, kill Bile and the Rhino, the Predators finish off these guys, Typhus finish off these guys, and the Death Shroud finish off. Like, I could do that, but again, you're thinking about kill more on turn 5. So that's basically why we didn't table him by turn 4 going into that. He's got 23 minutes left. We have 33 minutes left. So going into turn 5, this is the end of the board state. So turn 5 for primary, we held more. For him, he was able to just hold 1 or hold at least an objective or 2 every single turn. So he's able to get 4 every single turn. And then he wasn't able to kill more most of the game. So by turn 4 and turn 5, the only really unit, after looking back on it, let's show the score. So we finished up 94 to 50. So the only unit he actually finished off killing was the Cultist and the Predator. So he killed 2 units, which I believe was in the same turn. So we killed 2 units the whole game. That's how tanky this list was into him. Most of his stuff being damage 2, we were able to negate it down to damage 1, and then once we killed the last kind of Havocs, there was really nothing else to kill Morty and deal damage to our Predators. So this is what we ended up. We had 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 throughout the time. So we had 20 out of 50 for primary. His secondaries was 20 out of 40. So we had 3, 2, 4, 6 for containment, which was obviously an easy one to do. And then 5 on turn 5. So he's still able to get behind enemy lines with these guys down below. The Nemesis Claw. So he was able to get these guys down below, and then secure No Man's Land, which he was able to secure this one back here for a min. Then for us, for our primary, we had hold 1 kill more for turn 2, hold 1, kill more. And then turn 3, we had hold more, kill more. And then turn 4, we had hold more, kill more. But we had 4, 9, 3, 9, and then 9. So we had 34 out of 40 for secondaries, which wound up with being 94 to 50. So that was the game. Like I said, going into Bile, which we've played a ton of games with Bile, so we know all of their strats, we know what to look out for, we know how to counter them. It was definitely a tough matchup for the Bile player going into Death Guard, which negates half of their abilities and also has a lot of damage reduction, which they don't negate. So I was just going over with him when he placed that Lord in the Ruin turn 1 and losing the 10 Legionnaires. That was a huge mistake. Setting up the turn 1 giving me a kill was another mistake, and then not planning his Havocs in the position to basically just threaten my range most of the game was a thing. So starting the Havocs on the table definitely would have helped, because that would have threatened me from coming out too soon, and they could have just kept shooting the Death Shroud to try and plink them off, or threaten Morty so that way Morty couldn't come out. The Raptors coming down in the backfield, they probably could have came down more aggressively. The one Raptors up here didn't need to come down up there. They came down and tried to make a charge, which wouldn't have benefited him at all. Because in Purge the Foe, if you can't stop all of the objectives, there's no point to stop the primary. It's only good to tie the primary. So, for example, if I hold the backfield and you can't get to the backfield, there's no point to try and push me off this top objective unless you don't have 2 objectives. So that is another suggestion for Purge the Foes. If you can't get him off all the objectives, don't worry about taking him off one objective, which is not going to get him hold more. That is another good thing. So that Raptor unit coming down didn't really do much. And focusing on the easy unit. So he focused on the cultist, which just stinked, couldn't kill him. And then I think picking a side. So he picked this side, which the Havocs coming up here, they should have came down here to support this side more. Yeah, I think that really was the sway of it. So he pushed this side, I had to push that side. So he brought in these guys up here, which was the dying side. So if he would have brought them down here, he would have had more line of sight shooting with everything, down here, because that's where most of my Predators and Death Shroud were. So deployment and turn 1 giving me 10 Legionnaires for free. That was brutal. So hopefully this helped you out, guys. But let me know in the comments below what you liked, didn't like, how we can improve on the channel. Stay tuned for game 2, Death Guard versus Demons. And then we'll see you in the next battle report soon. What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. If you guys are interested in joining the Dirtbag Nation over at patreon.com, you get a bunch of perks. What we did in 2024 was we really expanded. I had traveled a ton and I played my ass off in 40k. Right now we're ranked #1 best player in the United States on ITC rankings. We were the #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world this year in 2024. 2 years ago, we got ranked #1 Grey Knight player in the world, and this year we're probably going to go into Death Guard, hopefully when the new Codex comes out, or Emperor's Children. But you guys, if you guys want that head coach or that coach always in your corner, just to ask questions, bounce ideas off, that's what the competitive Dirtbag and the Dirtbag Nation is all about. If you guys want to support the channel, you head over to patreon.com. You can join the Just a Car tab, which is $5 a month. You guys get access to the Discord Patreon tab. You have to be a patron to get into that Discord, and also I'm always there. All the other coaches are there. Basically, it's just such a good community over on Discord that you guys get specific access to it that only Patreons can get. If you guys want to bump that up, the competitive Dirtbag tier, you guys get to message me or another Grandmaster or another Dirtbag coach over the Dirtbag Nation to add unlimited questions, list ideas, list reviews, and bounce ideas off of. That's what having a coach in your corner is all about. If you guys want to bump up to the Grandmaster tier, that tier you get every perk under the sun. So basically you get access to Discord, you get one-on-one coaching, you get a call once a month if you guys would like to go over any RTTs coming up, any GTs coming up, any list reviews live over Discord chat, and also a special perk that Grandmasters get if you guys want any video suggestions like we do all the time with these table setups that we just upgraded thanks to the Patreons. You guys get suggestions or battle reports you want to see specifically played live by a coach or myself on the next battle report, or a live battle report coming up on the Patreon. So you guys get obviously first access to all the videos. We post them first on patreon.com, but there's just a ton of benefits to having a professional coach that plays this game all the time at the very, very high competitive level in your corner at all times. And that's really what the Dirtbag Nation is all about, getting you guys better at 40K, the basics, and being good in your community. So if you guys want to support the channel, I really appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you guys in 2024, 2025. I am super stoked for, super excited for. If we really want to get a bigger studio going, that is going to be my focus in 2025, is really growing the community on YouTube and Patreon specifically. So thank you so much for 2024, all my Patreons. If you guys are interested in joining and want that coach in your corner, head over to patreon.com and support the channel. Appreciate it.